Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I've got some secrets to share. I just read through the Stranger Things book, Darkness on the Edge of Town, and I found a lot of hidden details that are going to play a big role in Season 4. Recently, David Harbour, who plays Hopper on the show, said that there's some big things coming involving Hopper and his past and what's inside these 3 boxes that Elle found in his basement. Now, apparently, these 3 play a large role in Hopper's backstory, and we're going to learn a lot more about him in Season 4. And this book that I read is literally about Hopper's life before he moved back to Hawkins when we first see him in Season 1. So I thought, why not give this book a read? I've been wanting to for a while, and I've got a little bit more time on my hands than normal thanks to the shutdown, and now I know Hopper's past will play an important role in Season 4, I decided to go through this book looking for every possible secret that could be hidden in its pages. And while the book wasn't about revealing a bunch of secrets in the show, there was an awful lot of strange things I learned that I didn't know before. Like stuff about Hopper's past and just exactly what's in these boxes and even who the first test subject of MK Ultra was. That was the program Dr. Brenner was a part of that he created Elle from. We're going to cover the top 5 biggest secrets revealed in this book that could lead right into Season 4. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. We've got a great community here that loves to talk about all the same things that you love to talk about, so be sure to go down and hit that red button to join the community. Now, Joe Keery, Steve, also came out and said that this season is going to be a lot darker and more intense, even though personally, while it had its fun moments, Season 3 was a lot darker and more gruesome than the previous seasons. Now, let's jump right into it top 5 style because we've got a lot to cover. Starting with number 5, right off the bat, at the beginning of the book, we learn what's in these boxes that Elle finds while she's tidying up Hopper's messy cabin. In this shot here, we can see the 3 boxes that David Harbour mentioned that will play a significant role in Season 4. One is labeled New York, one is labeled Vietnam, and the other is labeled Hawkins Lab. Now, if you don't remember, Elle pulls out the Hawkins Lab box, and this is how she finds out about her mom. Inside, there's a folder labeled Terry Ives that has a bunch of newspaper clippings back from when Brenner was running tests on Elle's mom. Back in 1971, Dr. Brenner abducted Eleven from her mother when she was born and just told her she was lost during birth. Elle was a result of Brenner's testing on her mom, so he wanted her for himself to keep testing her as she grew up. Elle's mom tried fighting to get her baby back, and after a whole lot of nothing happening, she took it into her own hands to storm the castle and rescue Elle. And keep in mind, this was roughly 5 years after she was abducted. She armed herself and ran through the lab until she actually found her 5-year-old daughter, but was caught before she could do anything, and then they fried her brain. Bzz. This led Elle to actually finding her mom and learning what happened. Now, the next box we learn about is early on in the book, and it's the one labeled New York. But real quick, before we dive into the box, I just want to say thank you so much for all the birthday wishes on the last video. For only having an average of 8% of my viewers be subscribed, we're doing really well. So thank you to the 8%, you guys are the real ones. And if you're not part of the 8% yet, what are you doing? Go down and hit that red button right now to join the community. It's free and it helps out the channel a lot. So thank you so much. Now back to that box labeled New York. So Elle pulls it out one night and asks Hopper what was in it. Originally, he didn't want to tell her because he knew what was in the box and didn't know if she was ready to hear it. But as we know, Elle can be pretty stubborn, and after not backing down, Hopper reluctantly started going through the box's contents. Inside was a bunch of files and documents with a big fat manila folder sitting on top of everything, along with a large black and white photo of a crime scene from the case. In a plastic baggie, Hopper pulled out a large white Zener card with a hollow star on it that someone had handmade. And last but not least, there was a commendation letter from the Chief of Detectives of the NYPD dated Wednesday, July 20th, 1977. All these items are from the case that Hopper was on in New York, which leads us right into number 4. Hopper used to be a detective working homicide in New York before he came back to Hawkins to be chief of police. This definitely supports his detective skills we see in the show, and the book does a great job of adding a lot of what molded him into the Hopper he is today. But in this book, he takes on his big case in 77 where he basically had to go undercover in a cult to stop a madman from burning the city. The book also introduces dark aspects into Hopper's life, which I think for sure helped him accept all the crazy stuff we see in the show. The main antagonist, Jonathan Saint, who, you guessed it, goes by St. John, has been taking over all the gangs in New York to form his own, taking their people, their weapons, their money, everything. He killed 3 people and left one of those white cards with each of the victims, and that's when Hop got put on the case. He's been working towards something big, and it's Hopper's job to stop him. Now, the FBI come to Hopper after one of their own was killed while they were undercover and force Hopper to infiltrate the gang. Once he's in, he gets close to St. John and slowly learns more about our villain. Hop and St. John had both fought in the Vietnam War and had come back to the States wanting to fix things, change things, control things. They were both veterans trying to find a path in life and make a new place for themselves in this world. It was just their paths were so different, but this relatability let St. John trust Hop enough and helped him open up about his plan and the voices he heard at Rockwood Institute after Vietnam. He heard voices in his head telling him to prepare the city for their return, the Day of the Serpent, in which they would come to Earth and take New York as their kingdom. Crazy, right? This guy has special skills, in quotes, he acquired in Vietnam that we learn helped him have power over people. He could make them do whatever he wanted. His associates had seen people die because he told them to. That's nuts. That's a whole new meaning of Jedi mind tricks. Hopper said it was psychology. His special duties he was pegged for in Vietnam was brainwashing. If he could convince people that he was in touch with some sort of power that scares them, he could get them to do whatever he wanted, because fear is a powerful tool. And now this takes us into number 3. Hopper was 1st Infantry in the Army and did 2 tours in Vietnam from 1962 to 1968. He was awarded a Bronze Star for some heroic achievement or service in the combat zone. The book doesn't really tell us what it is, but I'm hoping it pops up in a flashback in season 4. I'd love to see what it is. He volunteered for the Army straight out of Hawkins High School. He wanted to get out of Indiana, and this is how he did it. He served 4 years all over the country and then 2 tours in Vietnam. He came back to Hawkins where, after fighting in a war that seemed to never end, the small town of Hawkins seemed to not change a bit. But he needed change, so he convinced his wife to move to New York in 1972, shortly after they had their daughter Sarah. But when the FBI agent came to Hopper and forced him to help, he was wondering if the agent knew about Hopper's set of skills from Vietnam, and that's why he wants his help. Now, what the heck does that mean? What special set of skills does Hopper have from fighting in Vietnam? I can only imagine. I have no idea. I think we're going to find out in some flashbacks in season 4, though. I think that'd be cool, as long as it can work into the story and him escaping the Russian prison or fighting the Demogorgon or something. But St. John was using these Vietnam veteran support groups around New York as a recruiting grounds to grow his gang/cult. Number 2, and one of the most shocking ones with the most direct tie-in to in the series, is MK Ultra had a secret base of operations in Vietnam. This is nuts. This is the same organization that tested on Terry Ives, Elle's mom, and the program that resulted in 11 and all the other numbers being created. This program is the reason they were all born with powers, and apparently they had an active laboratory in Vietnam that they were using to experiment on soldiers using brainwashing techniques. They were trying to create better soldiers. That's crazy. This is what Brenner was still doing when he was trying to weaponize Elle and push her powers to see how much damage she could do. The base killed a lot of test subjects, but this next thing is number 1. Jonathan Saint was MK Ultra's Subject Zero. This is really cool. We know of 11, we know of 8, there's a few other numbers from the comics, but this is Subject Zero, the very first. During Vietnam, St. John was fighting in the war and all, and one day he was sent to this secret base by the CIA to be experimented on and became Zero. They basically used him as a guinea pig to try to create these better kinds of soldiers. No matter what they did, they couldn't kill him though. Eventually, he ended up helping them out and doing to others what they did to him. It killed a lot of the others, but he just thought he was doing his duty. The book also says that he learned a lot about the brain at the lab, that all people are is chemistry and electricity, that the mind and soul are illusions, side effects of neurotransmitters, hormones, chemical reactions, and nerve impulses, and that once you know how the chemistry works, you know how to work it, you can change it or even control it. Use drugs or other things, call it programming. Turn the mind into a machine, ready for instructions, commands. You can make anyone do whatever you want them to. This is literally going right back into our speculation of what the Russians are going to do with the Demogorgons in season 4. They just skip the whole human army entirely and go to weaponizing freaking Demogorgons. Can you imagine what will happen if they're successful in controlling even just one and releasing it to attack the US or something? It would rip up everything. These things are so hard to kill. The scientists back at MK Ultra tried to turn St. John into a Superman, and then he tried to make others Supermen, and then when it was all done and over, they sent him home and told him to forget everything, that it was all just his imagination, that nothing happened, that he had gone mad. They sent him to Rockwood Institute back in the States, and that's where he started hearing the voice in his head that was telling him to do all these things. But maybe while he was being tested on in Vietnam by MK Ultra, maybe he met Dr. Brenner, or maybe even through his madness he met the Mind Flayer, or a dark entity that would one day turn into the Mind Flayer. A lot of cool stuff to think about from this book. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it and would recommend it to any Stranger Things fans out there looking for a good crime mystery story from Hopper's past. There's also a few random things that this book told us for the first time that I thought were really cool and wanted to share with you guys. First off, there was a lot of good scenes with Hop and Elle. This basically is a story Hopper is telling Elle through the course of the night, and it will often switch back to have some cute interaction between the two before jumping back into the story. I wish they had more of these, would have made the book so much better. I mean, it was still good, but you can't have enough of Elle and Hopper. Okay, so first thing, which I thought was sweet, is that Hopper legally adopted 11. So her name is now Jane Hopper. I don't know, I thought that was really nice. Also, Hopper's first name is really James? What? How did I not know this? Learn something new every day, you know? Also, probably my favorite thing from the book is that Hopper took his wife on a date to watch the very first Star Wars when it was in theaters, and they loved it. Reading this page where they laugh and talk about it made me smile so hard just to see my two favorite worlds interact with each other. I thought that was really cool. Hopper and Diane got married in '69, and they had Sarah in '71, which is the same year that Elle was born, and we learned that Hopper is 35 years old in 1977, which means he was born in 1942, and he's 43 years old in season 3. I mean, it seems older than I expected him to be, but still thought it was cool to get that info. Hops is going to be an old man soon. I really enjoyed reading this book. It gave us a little peek into Hopper's life before Stranger Things, and it gives us a story that showed him becoming the hero he is in the series. It was really cool to get an explanation of the New York box and a slight tease at the Vietnam box. Hopper said that he had known these things about his character from the very start, and that these boxes are going to play a huge role in season 4, and I'm just really excited to learn more about them. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video and what you thought of all the new stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Go watch one of my other Stranger Things videos here, and stay tuned for more videos next week. Hope you all are being safe. Thank you so much for the love, and until next time, I will see you in the comments. Peace.